Hey everybody! Today we're walking through some fundamentals, tips, and techniques to pull off a seafood dish that is as impressive as it is delicious. Let's get cooking. I'm Chef Jeff, and you're watching Publix Aprons Cooking School online. So we're going to get started with today's recipe, a pan-seared swordfish puttanesca. We've got our swordfish steaks, and we're going to just give a little extra virgin olive oil to these, get them nice and oiled up here. And we want to make sure we get this on both sides. So we'll go ahead and kind of flip them over, move them around. This is going to help our seasoning to stick. It's also going to help the sear process when it comes time to cook these. And we've got salt and pepper. And we'll flip these over, make sure you season both sides. When you're seasoning, get up kind of high. Make sure that seasoning spreads nicely. You don't want just like a pocket of pepper. Beautiful. Now we're going to get a little bit more oil in our nice preheated pan. And you can see that oil is moving around a little bit. That pan is nice and hot. And for searing seafood, you definitely want a real nice hot pan. And then we're going to just gently place our swordfish into the pan. You can hear it searing away. It's a beautiful thing. This is going to be 3 to 4 minutes on each side, so we just got to have a little bit of patience and let that sear take place. So these look like they're just about ready to flip. And you know what we're looking for is we got a little shake. They're moving in the pan, and they're coming up on their own. I'm not having to do any work here. And you can also see the white line is starting to make its way. It's about halfway up the side, and that's what we're looking for. And that's how we get that beautiful color from that sear. You got to be patient. It's not easy, but you got to let it do its job, and it'll let itself go. So while I was waiting for that swordfish to cook, I went ahead and cut up our bacon, and we're going to put that in just a moment. But it looks like our swordfish is about ready, and we can tell because, once again, that white line is gone the rest of the way up the side. They're able to move a bit in the pan. We've got a nice sear. So we'll go ahead and get these out and go straight to putting our bacon in. And this is going to add a nice, beautiful smoky bacon flavor, which honestly doesn't go bad in anything. And it's also going to give us some fat to do our cooking in, and it's a preserved meat, which a lot of the parts of this dish are going to be made from things that you would be able to keep for a long period of time, either in a pantry or a fridge. And we're going to let that cook for just a few minutes until it's fully cooked and rendered. So it took a couple of minutes for this bacon to cook, and while that was happening, I went ahead and gathered the rest of our ingredients for our sauce. But right now, let's go ahead. We're going to get the bacon out of this pan, and we're going to transfer it onto a plate with a little paper towel on it. We want to try to drain some of this fat off of the bacon, and we're using a slotted spoon for that. It makes the job a lot easier. And then we don't really need all the fat that's still in the pan, so I'm going to take a little bit of that fat out, and you can reserve that to use for cooking later. And get this back on the burner. And now we're going to add our aromatics. This is going to give a lot of flavor to our dish, so we're going to go ahead and put in our garlic paste and our herb paste and get that working. And we want to move that around and let it break up a little bit. We're going to kind of sweat this down and get all of the aromatic flavor. You can smell it starting to come together in the pan there. And we're going to let this go for about a minute. Continue to develop that flavor and sort of mix it around. It smells fantastic. Once we've got this sweated down, some of that herb has gotten a little brighter green. We've broken it up some. We're going to go ahead and add the liquids to build our sauce. So we've got our fire roasted tomato. Oh yeah. And a little white balsamic. And some clam juice. We're going to go ahead and put in all this clam juice. This is a beautiful flavor. And get this mixed around and bring it to a simmer. Now, while that's going, let's go ahead and chiffonade out our basil. Now, we've got our basil leaves stacked together, and for the chiffonade, we want to make some real thin ribbons. So I'm going to roll this up nice and tight. Take my knife and just very, very thin slice through these rolls. This is going to break our basil up nicely, and it's going to be a part of building our sauce. It's going to be a part of our garnish at the end, but that'll break up really nice into these beautiful, real thin ribbons. Once this simmer is done, we'll add all of these other beautiful ingredients and let all of that flavor sort of compound on itself to get our finished sauce. All right, so this is thickened up nicely. We're right about where we want to be for that next step. We're going to go ahead and add in the rest of our ingredients. So of course that beautiful bacon that we had, let's get all of that in there. Our Kalamata olives, capers, got to add a little heat, so we've got some crushed red pepper, and about half of the basil that we chiffonade earlier is going to go in. And then we want to stir this up and let all of these flavors marry together before we add our swordfish back in. Now, Puttanesca comes to us from mid-20th century Italy, and these are all things that you would typically find in somebody's larder or pantry. That's why we're using a lot of brined items like that. And then we'll take our swordfish, and we're just going to nestle these right back into that sauce. And this is where they're going to finish cooking. So we're going to let this simmer away, let all of these flavors really kind of hang out together and build, and finish cooking that swordfish. 145 degrees on that, we'll know it's done. All right, so this has been going for just a couple minutes. It smells fantastic. It looks ready to rock and roll. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our fish out of this pan and onto the plate. You can feel how nice and firm this fish is. Swordfish, beautifully firm texture, where we can go ahead and take this nice Puttanesca that we've just made and just get a little bit of it right there on the top. This is a really strong sauce. We don't need to really coat everything to get all of the flavor. It smells fantastic. We'll go ahead and garnish it with our basil, the rest of our chiffonade that we made. All right, let's give this a taste. The flavor on this is fantastic. We've got all that nice brininess. The olives are coming through. A little bit of heat from that crushed red pepper. And the swordfish is firm, and it's really able to stand up to all that flavor. And the best part is, you can serve a dish that is delicious and sure to impress. And your guests never have to know just how simple it was to make at home. Use the link to download the full recipe, and be sure to check out our other Aprons Cooking School videos and subscribe for more great content from Publix. Thanks for watching.